Hello there, I'm MountPain27, and what the hell is going on here? What happened to all my terminals? This is gonna cost a fortune to fix. Oh, wait a minute. I never took care of that archvile nest, did I? Uh-oh. Whew. Sorry about that. Hello there, and happy Halloween. I'm MountPain27, and this is Dean of Doom, the show we give grades to classic and contemporary Doom wads. Why? Because ranking things is fun. It's a good thing I came down here when I did, or those Archies would have ruined my plans. Looks like I caught them right before they destroyed today's lineup of Spooktober-themed wads. Thank goodness. Just like last year, we're going to have a gander at several sawed-off Hallowads, and what better place to start than Wormwood Expanded Universe, a 7-map sequel to 2019's collaboration between Ribbix and Grain of Salt. Before we see what kind of Halloween hijinks they got up to, here's how the show works. Every map gets 1 grade for quality and 1 for difficulty. Quality grades go from A to F. Grade A levels are fun, memorable, visually distinctive, creative, and a fair challenge. We grade difficulty from X to E. X for extreme, E for easy, A through D in between. Keep in mind, my idea of a great map is probably not the same as yours, but that's okay. Disagreeing is part of the fun, after all. At the end of the day, this show is about spreading the joy of Doom. So let's do so. Before we start, the rules are, we play on ultra-violence and must pistol start each level. I need to play the WAD twice before reviewing it. Saves are allowed, and we go for 100% kills in all levels, making exceptions when it's just not worth it. I play on Z-Doom, and the first part of today's program is boom compatible. Now, to the WADs. Map 1, never mind, there was a back door. So last time on Wormwood, Doom Guy jumped into a big green monster's mouth and resigned himself to an eternity of socializing with the bat colony living in its belly. 1 very boring year later, he makes a shocking discovery. Now sprung from the beast's belly, you can grab a megasphere and step into the darkness to initiate Wormwood 2's first challenge. There's just 1 enemy in this map, a cyber demon. No big deal, right? Well, the thing is, these purple firewalls reflect projectiles, which is kind of a problem when you're dealing with a rocket-launching skyscraper with goat legs. Don't ask me how Ribbix did this. Such modifications are witchcraft to me. The 2 eye switches are critical to your survival. They raise single-use barriers on the inside and outside of the arena, which can provide tiny windows to collect soul spheres and get some shots in on Cybe. I somehow managed to beat him on my second try this time, which I consider pure luck. It's all about how many times he stuns and whether the rocket ricochets behave. Nevermind is a fun and roguish Halloween trick. Grade A-, difficulty B+. Map 2, Mew. A micromap with a fittingly petite name, Mew squeezes 3 miniature challenges into less than 2 minutes. First, climb out of the grape soda pond. Next, kill all the Arachnos and Hell Knights with a tight balance of rockets, shells, and infighting. And finally, platform to the exit with no penalty for falling. Like one of those Hershey's miniature candy bars, I like it, but I want more. Grade B, difficulty B-. Map 3, I'm Rubber, You're Glue. I'm Rubber, You're Glue is a delightful 3-pronged exhibition of the bouncy purple wall gimmick. Bouncy might be the wrong word, actually. In challenge room number 1, these purple columns slingshot Hell Knight fireballs like the moon did to Apollo 13. The effect seems more gravitational than reflective. Eventually, some Mechubullies will get in on the fun here, but all you have to do is survive until the escape hatch opens, and they'll all get crushed. Room number 2 is also pretty straightforward. You just need to get these cybers to backboard rockets into a crowd of archviles, slap the skull switch, and skedaddle. The third room is hands down the most creative puzzle of the bunch. If you don't want to be incinerated by the team of flame boys waiting around the corner, just ask yourself this. Have I ever been hit by my own rocket before? The answer, of course, is no. You can only ever hurt yourself with splash damage. If you pre-fire enough rockets into the purple fire, you'll create a crisscrossing wall of death that will decimate most of the vials without you lifting a finger. This map is a blast to figure out. I love how it swings your expectations from this is impossible to, oh wait, no it's not. Grade A, difficulty B+. Map 4, Stabbed with a Sword. Alright. Now that Wormwood Expanded Universe has explained its gimmick and warmed your fingers up, it's time for the big trick or treat. Stabbed with the Sword is a strange world unto itself, a gaily colored, angular domain of neon and fire lodged deep in some primordial forest. Right away, Ribbix draws your attention towards the flame spirits. The first one you find will unlock the way forward and populate the map with foes, but the other flame spirits give you weapons. Make sure you find them all. Ribbix also rolls out the baby cyber demons here. They're neon green and take roughly a quarter of the punishment environment that a Papa Cyber can. Once you've gotten your bearings and some weapons, you're faced with 2 fights that can be attacked in any order. Let's talk about my favorite encounter in the WoD first. It's an exuberant, kinetic rocket fest on multiple fronts. Imps and Hell Nobles gush from the crevice while Cacos encroach, Mancubi mortar you, and spiders spam plasma. Ascending the stairs awakens a baby cyber who can be a great infighting ally or an instant death. I love this fight, and was happy to spend as much time on it as necessary to get it right. But once you finish it, you have to do the other one. I was physically incapable of completing this fight without armor. The errant cyber missiles, high-flying Cacos, unavoidable imp chip damage, and that maniacal wave of revenants, hell knights, and pain elementals is an excruciating combo. I prepared poorly, but I knew it was coming, and I still took 53 deaths in this recording. Winning those 2 fights earns you a yellow keycard and skull, which open the exit gate and grant access to a hidden megasphere, but you still need to raise the walkway to the inner sanctum where the exit is. Fight through this glow-in-the-dark lava passage for the red key card, and skip across the L-shaped platforms to the final face-off. A surreal Z-Doom visual glitch makes this Cyberdemon family reunion all the more interesting and deadly. Stabbed with a sword is a paragon of high-level Doom gameplay, but what sets it apart from the rest of the Wormwood series is the feel of it all. Beneath the sprightly combat and Halloween cheer, there's a deep-seated melancholy. Death is implied everywhere. In the spirits of defeated Marines, in the consuming darkness of the light-bright corridor, in the coffin you lie down in at the very end. What started as a silly Monster House send-up became a lot more existential. Grade A+, difficulty X. For gung-ho challenge seekers, Wormwood Expanded Universe also has 3 bonus maps. Let's hop right in. Map 31, Journal Entry 1, Killing Time. Killing Time offers not the smallest crumb of mercy. In the first half of the map, you're forced to use a Cyberdemon to carve enemy impediments out of your way while playing hopscotch over a death pit. These L-shaped platforms can play a game of chicken with a train. Seriously. Hit all the skull switches and the giant brown sector monsters will vomit 75 cacodemons into the arena. You'll never hear me say this again, but this Ribix level reminds me of a Delinquent of Doom map I played once. In my experience, the Cyber isn't worth keeping alive, and neither is his replacement. Pounce on them, cut loose on the Cack-o'-lanterns, then try to top off on health and ammo without taking a dive, and you should just barely make it out alive. Killing Time's only saving grace is its shortness. This is for masochistic platforming lovers only. Grade D, difficulty X-. Map 32, Journal Entry 2, Thus We Spammeth. The title is a bit misleading. Thus We Spammeth is indeed a BFG expo, but don't think you're gonna get away with bad ammo management on Ribix Watch. The central area is a madhouse, so I try to get the heck out of there and focus on clearing out the wings first. Both sideshow fights are high-intensity affairs that incentivize careful cell usage and mandate cat-like movement. Falling in the gaps marked by orange lines is 100% fatal, but much easier to avoid than Map 31's death pits. Lay off the trigger in the red key fight a bit and the Cybers will do most of the work for you. With the keys that make orange when mixed together, you can access the exit and a whole heap of cells that can be used for cleanup, which is this map's obvious low point. This is my favorite of Wormwood EU's bonus maps. It's boisterous, explosive, and good for event. Grade A-, difficulty A. Map 33, Journal Entry 3, Business as Usual. Wormwood 2's most substantive outtake, Business as Usual is a semi-Tyson outing set in a handsome but arid outpost. Despite the ammo famine, I find this journal entry much comfier and more approachable than the other two. It's fun turning the demons against each other, and real estate for scrambling isn't so scarce. You'll get a plasma rifle, but don't burn a single cell if you can help it. The Baron turrets get crushed when you use both keys, and you can telefrag the Cyberdemon on your way out of the lone secret, which also contains a switch that makes the final fight easier. At least, I assume it does. I found this secret in my first playthrough and frankly don't care to make life harder for myself. I'm not a big fan of the lone Baron you have to awkwardly punch or pistol to death, and the cramped basement fight against 2 archviles and a whole lot of imps and chain gunners really singes my chin whiskers. Anything less than perfect use of your cells will leave you with a painful amount of chaff and knuckle dust, and no matter how well you play that part, there's still a wall of lost souls and 2 more Barons to deal with. What a bummer. Grade B+, difficulty A-. So, Wormwood Expanded Universe is a top-shelf bag of Doom Halloween candy for those with the stomach for Ribix's merciless turns. I, for one, will be tuning in to hurt me plenty in future playthroughs, though ultraviolence is by no means unfair. To date, this is the most rewarding entry in the Wormwood series. It's charming, clever, entertaining, and at its best, engrossing. My final grade for Wormwood Expanded Universe is an A-. Difficulty-wise, Wormwood 2's hardest moments could scare the pants off anybody, so let's give it an X-. Bring garlic, steaks, and crosses if you decide to boot this one up on Halloween night, and silver bullets if it's a full moon. Now for a quick Dean's list. Valedictorian, Map 4, Stabbed with a Sword. Salutatorian, Map 3, I'm Rubber, You're Glue. Class President, Map 4, Stabbed with a Sword. And the dunce cap goes to Map 31, Journal Entry 1, Killing Time. So that was the least spooky wad I have on tap for you this Halloween. Moving on to the next still functioning terminal, we have Morbid Autumn, the 29th entry in the Doom Rewards Project series made during October of 2020 and released the following month. Its fall theme and sinister demeanor made it a natural pick for this episode, and while it's no tangerine nightmare, I think you'll find it a welcome companion for a cup of tea and the early sunset of post-daylight savings time. Let's have a look, shall we? Map 1, Mortis Castile. The opening view of the rugged geology, handsome new tree sprites, and looming castle on the hill got me pretty psyched to dive into this wad. Don't actually dive in the gorge though, or you'll get soft-locked. Mortis Castile is short but lively, laying down hell nobles, revenants, arachnos, and even a cyber demon from the outset. 40 ounce loads you up with ammo, and he offers a bonus Zerk and rocket launcher to players who engage with their surroundings, so you shouldn't be too overwhelmed to drink in the atmosphere. The new door, lift, and switch press sound effects add a dash of medieval grit to the proceedings. And little touches like this chalice, candle, chair, and end table really draw me in. The dungeon square off against Lord Sybe and his horde of pinky jailers is made somewhat anticlimactic by all the plasma ammo you get, and the buggy's secret count is kind of off-putting, but Mortis Castile is still a fine tone setter. Grade B, difficulty B-. Map 2, The Guillotine. More than a little inspired by Scythe 2, The Guillotine borrows a familiar Sisters of Mercy MIDI and Eric Alm's lava-damaged gothic castle aesthetic. Punch your way to the title's set piece and decapitate this unlucky shotgunner to produce the yellow key and a swarm of ghostly foes. The Guillotine is substantially easier than the first map. 40 ounce gives you plenty of rockets to shred the opposition, and so long as you stand clear of the chain gunner tower, the final fight is gory gravy. Honestly, now that I'm a big Sisters of Mercy fan because of Scythe 2, I have more to say about the wimpy midification of Black Planet than this map. If you'd have told me 2 years ago that custom Doom wads would be getting me into new bands, I'd have said you were nuts, but here we are. Grade B, difficulty C-. Footnote, I almost forgot about this bit where you grab an iron key and use it to unlock the door right next to it. Groovy, but kinda pointless. Map 3, Hate Tectonics. Well punned, Pyrdolius. Hate Tectonics shakes the ground beneath your feet from the start with a hard-rocking ambush and a bloody basin. You better crank up the volume if you want to actually hear the MIDI, though Joy Division fans will wince at some of these pitch bends. Don't miss the rocket launcher hiding in the shadows, and get ready for some serious spelunking. Most of Hate Tectonics takes place underground, where the demons have the element of surprise. The claustrophobic layout favors the beefier baddies, so try to use rockets while you have the space. Pyrdolius rewards backtracking with a computer area map, a bulk cell, and a second berserk, so don't be afraid to sniff around when things go quiet. The red key meatball rumble and the cellar scrap with the megasphere are strong moments in an otherwise slow-paced map, and I commend Pyrdolius on his subterranean visuals, which are usually hard to sustain interest in. Grade B+, difficulty B. Map 4, Norwich Lane. Oh, this is a lot more creepy than I was expecting. Okay. Well, I guess we'll just grab a shotgun and... Oh, God. Jump scared by a zombie man. This is exactly what I was hoping to get when I booted up Morbid Autumn. The sumptuous, skin-crawling Norwich Lane is a functionally perfect map. It delivers an immersive horror experience, pulls out all the stops aesthetically, and plays exactly like the haunted house it aspires to be. The level of detail here is just stunning. Sunny666, who also wrote this bone-chilling MIDI, traced around wood planks in the floor and individual rocks on the ground to make a 3D pathway. The barn, guest house, and science lab are decked out with all kinds of nifty mid-texture widgets and sector furniture. The manor itself has these incredibly eerie window textures that gleam evilly against the ashen sky, and the lighting overall is totally jaw-dropping. It's such a great map to just walk around in that I wouldn't care if the action fell flat, but it doesn't. First contact with the possessed grounds crew is pretty uneventful, but Sunny throws in enough surprise attacks to keep you honest, and the part where you get locked in this unholy cave is a thrill, especially the murderous game of hide and seek with 3 archviles that starts when you grab their blue key. I want to know where the hell Sunny666 came from and what he's going to do next. I'm there for it. Grade A+, difficulty B-. Map 5, Magma Gorge. Morbid Autumn's midsection is definitely its sweet spot. Magma Gorge's decadent landscape shots and toasty ambiance make it one of the coziest and most aesthetically appealing maps in the set. Unfortunately, the gameplay doesn't quite keep up. The further along we get in this wad, the more punches 40-ounce seems to pull. You'll have 30+ rockets in your pack before you have reason to loose a single missile, and every one of these fights can be dismantled with minimal effort. I don't mind a power fantasy, but there's not enough jib fodder for that either. The Cyber Demon battle in the basement is the only fight you'll have to brace for, unless of course you waltz over to this invol and check behind the red key pedestal for a BFG. If you can't cyber bully him with that, I don't know how to help you. Despite its snoozy gameplay, I enjoy inhabiting Magma Gorge. Every frame is a painting made of light, heat, and rock. Grade B+, difficulty C+. Map 6, Death Whistle. Without a doubt the densest and meanest map in Morbid Autumn, Death Whistle is a gore-splattered keep with enough barrels of explosive mead to last these demons the winter twice over. This map was a rude awakening for my 40-ounce induced siesta the first time I played it. Super Cupcake Tactics makes you fight for every health pack and box of shells, batters you with bullets and flak, and spring-loads seemingly every room with traps that can snuff your candle in a wink. Death Whistle can be very unforgiving if you don't keep your health stack up, but it pays back your diligence with a few deliciously explosive set pieces. Some of Death Whistle's secrets are unhelpful almost to the point of trolling, and the custom sound effects make this room with the automatic lifts pretty obnoxious. I miss the SSG, but Cuppy did a good job balancing his level around its absence. I can always admire maps that ride the razor's edge of ammo starvation as well as this one does. All told, Death Whistle is masterful work, but I enjoy it less than I respect it. Grade A-, difficulty A-. Map 7, Der Galgen. Another hard-nosed castle map, Der Galgen is a bit tougher than I remembered, fully garrisoned with Arachnotron archers, Revenant spellcasters, and mounted Mancuballista. Bumbling into the wrong areas early can kill you quick, so before you approach the keys, make sure to gather weapons and load up your rocket launcher. The blue and red key fights aren't too scary if you keep your head and shoot straight, but I took enough dumb deaths in this crowded banquet hall to resort to door fighting. You can probably do better. Der Galgen, which today I learned means the gallows in German, didn't really grab me on either of my playthroughs, but it's sure to please castle map enthusiasts. Grade B-, difficulty B+. Map 8, The Fallen Towers. This welcome late-stage breather is a rocket launcher romp executed with surprising grace by Joe Ilya. The map is balanced entirely around Weapon 5, but you can find a chainsaw, chain gun, and BFG in some fairly obvious secrets. I like this map's rapid pace and high stakes. Every rocket counts, and a fast reaction time is worth its weight in medikits. It's good fun to leap across big gaps and shimmy around rock formations in search of supplies, and I'm impressed by how nicely these natural vistas turned out. The Fallen Towers is probably the most entertaining Joe Ilya map I've played to date, a deal sealed by this ending riddled with spiders, vials, and gore confetti. Good show, Joe. Grade B, difficulty B-. Map 9, Call of the Canyon. The only thing I like about Call of the Canyon is the idea of playing a map set in a canyon. This is Morbid Autumn's low point, almost certainly buried late in the wad so as not to turn off prospective players. Call of the Canyon is clunkily paced, one-dimensional, and downright primitive on the aesthetic front. 90% of the map is covered in this brown wall texture, and 90% of the enemy roster is imps, zombie men, and pinkies. The super shotgun is the strongest weapon you get, and I find Berserk more entertaining and effective to use against the mindless mob. UV maxers will be put off by the flagrant monster window dressing, weird, missable monsters, and pointless secrets that require extensive backtracking. The final room is a complete flop that can be defanged by sniping the vial before you walk in. Call of the Canyon is a steaming mess, but it definitely seems like newbie work, and I do still like the driving idea behind it, so grade D, difficulty D+. Map 10, Dusk Ache. Morbid Autumn ends on a pretty underwhelming winter solstice. Dusk Ache is a straight shot through a series of fights that you can mostly stand back and rocket spam through. 40-ounce was definitely in charge of rocket disbursement here, and he still hasn't given up on this gate key gimmick. Stop trying to make fetch happen, 40-ounce. I think this wad lost its autumn identity and became a castle-themed map set by the end, which isn't so much a critique as a small letdown for me personally. Right before the final fight, you can interact with this slashed canvas to reveal an invul, but that's baby stuff. Even without it, you'll have enough cover and leftover health to squash this demon brute squad and their archvile reinforcements. With the final leaf fallen from the last mid-texture tree, Morbid Autumn is over. Grade C+, difficulty C+. So, Morbid Autumn doesn't quite live up to its potential, but bearing in mind that every Doomer Board's project is conceived, designed, and tested in the span of 30 days, I think these lads ought to be proud of their work. High-quality visuals are a constant in the DBPs I've played, and this set has a few bona fide Kodak moments that are well worth enduring the occasional misstep for. If you're looking for a Doom accompaniment of the season, you could do far worse than DBP number 29. My final grade for Morbid Autumn is a B. Difficulty-wise, this is pretty mild stuff. Let's leave a C+ in its trick-or-treating pumpkin pale. Now for my Dean's List: Valedictorian, Map 4, Norwich Lane; Salutatorian, Map 6, Death Whistle; Class President, Map 6, Death Whistle; and the dunce cap goes to Map 9, Call of the Canyon. Alright, I think it's time we amped up the fear factor, and by that, I mean let's play something scarier and more daunting. I've got just the wad if it's still here. Ah, yes. Wormwood 3, The Horror. When I opened this wad on November 1st of last year, it folded space-time and gave me one more hour of Halloween. Wormwood 3 is the strangest and darkest entry in the series, which is hopefully not still a trilogy at the time of this video's airing. Note that this map set will completely refuse to load with Z-Doom, and it's got some game-breaking visual glitches on GZ-Doom, so stick with PR Boom Plus or DSDA Doom for best results. There's no tongue-in-cheek story this time around, but it does pick up from Map 4 of Expanded Universe. Remember, we died. Map 1, Life. Underneath the neon Halloween trappings and Ribik's gameplay staples, Life is a very disconcerting map. Gone is the whimsy and humor of the other two Wormwood openers. Life oozes solemn surrealism, and its dehacked sorcery inspires wonder and dread in equal measure. This red floor is so purely destructive that it even kills monsters who dare touch it, and green meteors belch from eldritch furnaces suspended in lethal ether. What the hell is this place? No time to speculate. The central fight against a gush of Hell Knights and Imps is deceptively risky. Try to keep the demons in the middle of the arena so the meteors work them over, bolt for the rocket launcher, punch a hole, and make a mad dash for safety. Survive one more round of platforming and it's time for another one-of-a-kind Cyber Demon square-off. Don't get caught by a rocket or linger in the wake of the missile barrage or your history. I'd be remiss if I didn't say something about this Ribik's original soundtrack. If I had to describe it in a single sentence, AIT.mid makes me believe in an afterlife that's not what I hoped it would be. Life goes above and beyond the typical Wormwood opener. It's entertaining, innovative, and haunting. Grade A, difficulty A-. Map 2, Vampire Killer. You have to see this map from a few different angles before its brilliance dawns on you. Pun intended. This is Grain of Salt's best work in the Wormwood series so far. It's choose-your-own-adventure slaughter set in a castle drowning in purple flurp. Little does the newcomer know, there are 3 ways to start this map. You can take the teleporter right in front of you and bushwhack the Hell Knights and Chain Gunners. You can skip the teleporter, grab the rad suit and some extra rockets, and forfeit the element of surprise. Or you can grab the suit, duck out the back door, and wander around the castle outskirts where you can find a teleporter that will let you flank the nastiest fight in the map. An army of revenants, a cyber demon, and a squad of drunk arachnotrons. What the hell's a drunk arachnotron, you ask? Wormwood 3's arachnotrons spray plasma like Barney Gumble taking a leak, and I'm 90% sure their projectiles do Hell Knight damage. They are not to be underestimated. Hold off the fire button and let the troops on the ground wear the spiders down before you engage. No matter how you approach the first half of this map, you'll end up with a purple key and a smile on your face, and if for some reason you're lacking the latter, climb up this purple spire. Concentrate on the Alki Arachnos and watch out for toxic Academia projectiles in the final fight, and this one's in the books. It's a shame the teleporters in the bathroom fight are broken, keeping 100% kills beyond your reach, but it's Vampire Killer's only flaw. Grade A, difficulty A-. Map 3, The Horror. The most intimidating map in the Wormwood series, The Horror is ammo-famished and stiletto-sharp. A tightrope walk through Ribik's nightmares. Like stabbed with a sword, The Horror intimately integrates its Wormwood-exclusive hacks. The drunk spiders become wicked snipers, terrifying up-close encounters, and essential infighters. With the green meteors, Rubix makes homicidal Rube Goldbergs and guards treasures. These buggers will be the cause of a lot more death and frustration than you might expect. There isn't a single free encounter in the horror, though you are permitted to skip big chunks of it if you're in a hurry and/or like to suffer. The main progression involves conquering stylized challenges and grabbing keycards. Courageous players can pursue 3 side quests for colorful skulls that grant special rewards. I skipped the purple skull because it eats up an all-important invulnerability that I use for this part. As you can see, this fight is clinically insane, even with a few seconds of breathing room at the start. Relying on the meteor maw seems to be the object of the game, but the pain elementals are a wild card, and getting the cacos to behave is like herding cats. To unlock the BFG, you thankfully only need the green skull, which is the easiest optional key to reach. It's easy to give in to temptation, but I also highly recommend gritting your teeth through this hellacious platforming segment for an extra 100 cells. The horror culminates in a cataclysmic encounter with a full amphitheater of inebriated arachnos, 6 cyber demons, a murder of revenants, and some loose pain elementals. The BFG can punch 2 or 3 ad hoc escape routes in the bone wall, but the rocket launcher is worthless, and Rubix only lets you cut loose at cleanup time. I run the risk of sounding like an old man yelling at a cloud here, but I like to kill demons. This current objective survive stuff isn't for me. No matter how brutally the horror beats my ass, I can't help but be awestruck by Rubix's artistry and craftsmanship. Take for example this leap of faith by the purple key where you skirt around the ledge to safety. What a bold, organic way to make the player move through a Doom map. It's a great dramatic moment too. One slip and you go tumbling into the abyss. I highly recommend getting to know the horror, as it was much more gratifying on second pass. Where does Wormwood go after this? I hope we get to find out this year. Grade A, difficulty X. What? First Archviles and now Ghosts, huh? Well, wasn't planning on covering this one yet, but maybe it's a sign. I'm rarely at a loss for words, but Comatose is just one of those maps. 5 minutes in, it becomes something you have no choice but to finish. An hour in, you start to wonder if it's even possible to finish. And 3 hours in, you wish you didn't have to finish it. Comatose is literally as detailed as a Doom map can be, and as strong a piece of storytelling and world building as I have seen in thousands of maps played and reviewed. Before we get down to the nitty-gritty here, please note that Comatose demands a high-performance machine or a PR Boom-derived source port to play. My computer could not run it without major frame rate droppage in software mode. Comatose is a true ghost town, populated entirely by dark, fuzzy varieties of Doom 2's bestiary. Coupled with the lack of monster alert and search sounds and silent teleports, this presents a unique challenge. OpenGL's low contrast and the town's general pallor make it so you're essentially blind fighting through the entire map. Even though Lanos is pretty generous with health and ammo, your first few minutes in Comatose are bound to be frantic and a bit frustrating. This brand of combat is an acquired taste, but it is fascinating how one small change can turn nothing encounters into serious threats. Hit scanners, lost souls, and regular old specters will be the bane of your existence here. I try to find a chain gun ASAP and use the bullet spray to reveal foes. Its fast reaction time also outclasses the shotgun when storming into buildings. Against flying foes, I try to position myself against a clear view of the sky to better see enemy outlines. Ironically, Mancubus apparitions are a bit easier to deal with owing to their husky hitboxes and placement in wide open areas. Comb the tall grass for ammo pickups and root around for medikits and armor if you're running low. You always missed something. Enough about demon killing. That's not what this map is about. It goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway. Comatose is one of the eeriest Doom maps ever made, and not just because Doom Guy punches right-handed. The droning Portal soundtrack and persistent quiet completely envelop you to the point where you reach a state of reverie and almost forget to feel dread. That is, until a backstabbing ghost brings you back to reality. It doesn't take long for the trepidation of rummaging through abandoned houses, feeling around for hidden switches, and tiptoeing through unexplored terrain to become addictive. I should mention, this map is not without jump scares, but they're all organic and earned. One of them is so blood-curdling I had to pause and collect myself the first time I found it. I won't show it here because I know a few of you haven't played this and wish you hadn't ignored my spoiler warning. Comatose is home to a wealth of details, poignant, whimsical, and macabre, macabre. Its sepulchral still-life scenes are mesmerizing, and Lanos' knack for micro-detailing has no equal. Everybody remembers the countless discarded cigarette butts, but I can't get over the abandoned grocery store. You just have to see this for yourself. Some of these flourishes are invisible unless you free look, but Lanos put them there anyway. I've never found all 23 secrets and only skimped on kills because I want an excuse to come back and see more of this map someday. The big question is obviously what happened here, but you never get an answer. Environmental clues suggest that something serious went down between factions of Nazis, occultists, plague doctors with a passion for archaeology, and the Illuminati. Whatever it was, it came suddenly and without much fanfare. Given the mapper's Russian origins, Chernobyl seems like the obvious parallel. The myriad barrels of toxic waste in this irradiated BFG chamber definitely invoke nuclear angst, but that's obviously not the whole story, because where did all these ghosts come from? My theory is Comatose is supposed to be purgatory. Various evil forces tampered with a power beyond their understanding, and unlocking it cast the entire town in a permanent gloom of unbeing. Only the shadows of wicked souls live here now. It's the subtlety of Lanos' apocalyptic vision that makes it so effective. All he did was smudge out the monster sprites and make the demons quiet, but Doom feels infinitely more lonely and sad this way. Comatose isn't the scariest Doom wad I've played, but it taps into a kind of horror that transcends department store Halloween and gets to the heart of what this season is really about, I think. It expresses that universal human fear of the unknown, of being alone in liminal spaces, of the dread of something after death, the undiscovered country from whose bourne no traveler returns, puzzles the will, and makes us rather bear those ills we have than fly to others that we know not of. Thus, conscience does make cowards of us all. Thank you very much for watching, and please feel free to share your thoughts on the WODs down below. I'd love to hear what you think, and I'll heart your comments to let you know I've read them. Now I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge my generous patrons. Aaron Allen, Agile Jackson, Agu XYZ, Alec Wehrman, Alephany, Alex Max, Alex Topfer, Artisan Talzar, Bo Higginbotham, Beatbeard, Ben Barrett, Big Cy and his trusty Glock, Big Pash Plays, Birdburn, Blind as a Mat, Builder Sith, Bitefire, Kappa-Bitch, Cheese Wheel, Chris Duthat, Chris O'Neill, Christophine Place, Cutman Mike, Damo, Dan, Daria Romero, Delirium, Doot Yourself, Dorothy Miller, Dustin Rush, Eggboy, Ember, Emeljan, Emma Essex, Endless Moose, Felix Wilson, Francis T218, General Roasterock, Glenn Marmon, Goody, Griffin Upchurch, Hyaksho, In Captivity, Jeff Hibbert, Jeff Sharilla, Jose Ballestero, Josh Ballard, Jude, Just Some Schmuck, Just Great 98, Camille Bernadotte, Killplane, Quan, Leon Staten, Logan Lazalda, Lumnal, Mark Rowland, Master Drew 117, Matt, Matthew Gower, Maddie Light 1990, McJimbles, Meta 47, Michael Akins, Mike OTR, Miracle Water, Mixer, MK 2021, Moko Mothman MM47, Mozicon, Mr. Bob Cyndaquil, Myolden, Nafferty, Neurometry, Knights 108, Not Obelisk, Number 26, NX Avery, Omnibot, Painful Hill 72, Pezaveng Jaj, Philip Coffey, Pixel Perfect PT, Pyro She, Quibs, Randy A, Red Doomed Earth, Reese, Reese Anderson, Richard Fry, Roadworks, Rune, Sega Monkey, Sid Menon, Small Venom, Snacker Fork, Some Spoony Bard, Space Clanka, Spinner 8, Stonemason, Stupid Nick, Sunriser, Sylvester Priss, Tara Kushino, That Guy Known as Will, The Cloptologist, The Fiery Charmeleon, The Freeman 500, The Sapphire Try, TJG 1289, Trilby Trillion, Turbine 2K5, Ultra Cow, Why Bimo Not a Crab, William Huber, and Wonka Shack. Thank you. I appreciate you all very much. This is Mount Pain 27, and I'll see you in the next episode of Dean of Doom.